Hello and welcome to Conscious TV. I'm Iain McNay, and today our guest is Elias Amidon.
Hello, Ian.
And Elias is a Sufi teacher, and we're going to talk about his life, his journey, his teaching, his work. He travels a lot. It's going to be, I think, a very fascinating interview. So, Elias, let's start at the beginning, when you were a child. From our conversations earlier, you were saying that actually you had a very happy childhood.
Mm-hmm. I did. I was fortunate in that regard. Loving parents. I wasn't oppressed by poverty or any other conflicts like that. And my parents were very open, artistic. They were Unitarians. And I think that essentially when I was 2 or 3, I can remember some of my earliest recollections were of my father loved classical music, and he would play Bach and Schubert and so on. And on Sunday mornings especially, I would lay on the living room floor and the sunlight would be around, and I'd hear this music, which I had no idea what, and the sense of well-being and safety and a kind of wondrous joy was sort of, just was the whole atmosphere and invited into my heart, and I think that gave me a sense of stability. And these are thoughts about how it came about, but I've always felt as if I've had been blessed with a sense of security, that no matter what's gone on, and I've had my share of tragedies and conflict and trouble, but underneath it all, a sense of everything's all right. I'm safe. We're all safe. That feeling I would trace back to those early memories.
That's a great starting point in life, and so many people that we meet on a spiritual search haven't come from that initial reference point of basically feeling safe.
Yeah.
And I guess that helped you to have a broader picture of life as such. Is that right?
Well, I think it was an important ingredient because it allowed me to venture outside of my comfort zone. I remember in my teens feeling limited by a kind of parochialism, I would call it, as if I was too safe, I was too American, too, kept. So early on, as soon as I passed through puberty, I started adventuring out. I got on my bicycle and rode for 500 miles. I would, the moment I left high school at 17, I think, I got on a little motor scooter and went across my little motor scooter. I called it Rocinante, after Don Quixote, and traveled across the country and spent 3 months just wandering. I had a kind of romantic notion of finding my destiny somehow. And so I could venture out and have all kinds of experiences, but at root was the feeling that I'm okay,
yeah.
I'm going to be all right. So I could risk quite a bit.
And what did finding your destiny mean to you at that time?
Well, in those days, I wanted to be, what came for me, I wanted to be a poet. I wanted to be a poet. So I had to find, I was sort of finding, well, in a way, material, but more, I wanted to play my heart, the heartstrings. I wanted this life to have all sorts of music. I wanted to meet the most profound people who were alive in the world. I wanted to experience extremes of all sorts and dive into life. And that's really been a theme. Now I'm 65. Hasn't stopped.
You're still diving into life
I
now.
think so, yeah. God willing.
So I know when you were 21, you had experimentation with LSD, And in fact, I think your first trip with LSD you took with your father, which is quite an unusual situation.
Yeah, we're a small footnote in psychedelic history, actually, in the States, in that my father actually initiated me, gave me my first LSD. Usually, if it ever happens that way, it's the other way around. And he was quite open-minded and had been studying with Stan Groff and with Tim Leary, Ralph Metzner, Ram Dass. So he was awakened to that kind of exploration. He was trying to find, in his own way, the truth or direct recognition. And what was unique and really a blessing for me was that there was a great concern given to set and setting. So it was very calm. My mother handled any telephones. Anybody might come to the door. And it was in a beautiful place. And there was, not only was it held in that kind of setting of beauty and safety, but then, actually it wasn't my father, but people he knew who came and used quite an intense Socratic questioning on me, and I was 21, and with the usual kind of bewilderment of a 21-year-old. And this set of questioning dove right into, okay, what are your problems? What's really what's troubling you? This kind of question.
This is during the trip.
Oh yes,
yeah.
There were about 3 of them where this happened, and it was the whole process led to. It was quite excruciating, actually, to tell you the truth. It led to. Finally, I was afraid to die. That was, I was. There was some almost primordial sense of fear, and that fear, no matter what else I might project it onto, came down to death.
It's a very deep realization to have that.
Yeah. Oh, and at that point, I was encouraged. It took a few times, but it was so intense, as you can appreciate. Finally, I felt like there was no way out, and I was encouraged. It's okay. It's okay, you can die. And it was actually a, to use your word earlier, palpable experience of departure, of death, of leaving everything that I was, every identity that I had, dropped away. It was as if I couldn't breathe, as if I left behind even breathing. And it was at that moment, and at this moment, because it's actually not any different from this very moment that we sit here together, complete freshness, complete openness, without any reference, having a reference point. This is always then the struggle of all teachers and all just human beings when they come to this, to try to describe it. But a sense that rather than being a somebody in here or in there who's trying to work out and understand and know things and choose and so on, all of that was left behind. And you can appreciate it even now, that this moment is always, I'm talking about a past moment, that moment. So there is actually no that moment anymore. It's only this one. And it's only always been this one. And this moment is pure freshness for each of us, for anyone who might be watching this. It's actually is, forgive me while I try to describe this, but it has something to do, in my experience, with time.